and welcome to the first part of the 30-minute meditations for NHS professionals, mindfully managing your anxiety. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so that you're notified for future content. Hello, and welcome to the first in 4 sessions of the 30-minute NHS professionals meditations. Welcome to Mindfully Managing Your Anxiety. We at SVK Healthcare are so thrilled that you're able to take part, and we'd just like to say thank you for all of your support during these challenging times. It gives me great pleasure to introduce today your webinar leader, Dr Mike Scanlan, a mental health consultant at Therapies. Hello, Mike.
Hi, and lovely to be here with you tonight. And this is my presentation, so I'm really pleased to be able to work with you tonight and give up our time for what I think is such an important session. So thank you so much for inviting me to do this tonight. As I said, I think it's so important, and I've got to tell you, mindfulness, meditation, stopping, finding that space between stimulus and response where we just enable ourselves to create a little bit of calm, and sometimes just enough calm to think clearly about stuff and to be conscious of whether we're being pushed around by our inner critic, whether we're listening to a very harsh, judgmental voice during these difficult times, when what's going to work for us is to listen to a much more compassionate, understanding self that we all have. But I think during these very, very scary and difficult times, sometimes our inner critic comes to fore that tells us we're not doing well enough, that tells us we should be doing better, that instills a sense of fear and causes all sorts of issues, and absolutely is the sort of seedbed of so much of our anxiety. And we know that all anxiety is predicated upon a loss of control and feelings of uncertainty. And for so many of us working in health, I think that we are really experiencing this sense of a loss of control, and without doubt, an overwhelming sense of uncertainty. And even though we now have the vaccines coming in, that level of uncertainty still remains, almost a sort of sense of what else can happen. And I think that this is where we can use mindfulness and we can use meditation to really, really help us. So the session tonight is going to be looking at 2 things. First of all, I'm going to share with you approach called dropping anchor. And it literally is that sense that we find ourselves at the moment, and many of you guys much more so than me. I've only come back into the NHS for about a year now, as trying to help out a little bit with COVID. I'd left the NHS for a little while actually and started to work at a university and do other jobs. But I've come back in, and I've felt some of this, but listening to you guys and offering therapy to people on the front line, experiencing, actually working in hospital, working in primary care, working in secondary care, just working to try and support people and help people survive this terribly difficult time, must, I think, sometimes feel a bit like Columbus must have felt, you know, amidst a sea, not quite knowing where we're going, and occasionally finding ourselves really in the middle of what must have felt like a maelstrom or a storm, and our ship being chucked all over the place. No sense, no certainty of where we're going or when we will arrive at our chosen destination. And at times like that, a good sailor drops anchor. And I think what I'm going to be looking at today is a real water theme, because my first meditation is a meditation that teaches us to drop anchor. And I've sent through a wonderful booklet, a free e-booklet by Russ Harris, which takes us through the process of dropping anchor. And I've sent that through to SBK and Paige, I think. And I've asked Paige, and I've sent through a recording of the drop anchor meditation for you guys to use and to practice with, so that don't worry about tonight and having to remember how to drop anchor. It's going to be all there for you. And this whole sense of being able to be in the middle of a really busy, frantic day, and then recognizing that, you know what, if I get 15 minutes, I'll grab something to eat and I'll just drop anchor, and I'll nourish my mind, I'll nourish my soul at the same time as I nourish my tongue and my appetite. Because our soul, our mind, our sense of self needs nourishing during these different times. And we do need to stop and drop anchor in order to be able to do this. But as you'll see in a minute, the drop anchor process, we can either enjoy the meditation, or if we've literally only got 1 minute, we can use the process to stop, consolidate. And as the great Viktor Frankl says, find that space between the stimulus that's causing this maelstrom, this storm, and the response. Because if we find that space between stimulus and response, we just make better choices. And we make the choices from a place of greater peace and certainty. And I think sometimes it's about bringing a sense of certainty into a frantic world. So when we do the drop anchor meditation, it's a seated meditation. So I'm just going to ask you all to just imagine for a moment that you're sitting in the chair that we're meditating in your room that hopefully is vaguely quiet, and that there's a mirror, a full-length mirror in front of you. And if you gaze at yourself in that mirror and just ask yourself, do I look dignified? And if you're sort of slumped over the computer like this, probably not. And so we pull ourselves up, we straighten our spine a bit, we take our hands and we just lay them softly in our lap. And we find a mindful half smile. This is important. And that mindful half smile just says to the brain, I'm okay. Because if I wasn't okay, I wouldn't be smiling like this. So even if it feels a bit odd, a bit different, even false, just go with it, push it, and find that mindful half smile. And if you can, just for the moment in the start of this meditation, just allow your eyes to just gently close. And we'll open them in a few moments. So let's begin the drop anchor meditation. So we stop and we acknowledge that we are all of us experiencing a sense of difficulty and emotional pain right now, I believe. And this meditation aims to just help us to handle that. So we're just going to very gently begin by asking you to take your attention outside of the room that you're meditating and just listen. Name quietly in your mind's eye the sounds you hear, and have a sense of the temperature and the weather outside. And then bring your attention into the room that you're meditating in, and just get a sense of the sounds, the ambience, the temperature, the warmth of the room that you're sitting in. And then bring your attention right in and find you and find your breath. And attach your attention to your breath and notice with each breath begins a new moment. Each breath can be seen as an invitation to start afresh. Each breath offers up us an opportunity to create space. And as we create that space, I'm going to ask you to please just push your feet into the floor below you. Just get a sense of the stability of you. As we push our feet into the floor, we get a sense of the earth beneath us, and we square and we center our attention. And just sit forward slightly in your chair and allow your back to just straighten. Now, run your attention down to your hands, and very gently now, just bring your fingertips together. Bring the fingers of the right hand across and just touch your hands, just allowing your fingertips to press in and to close that circle to get a sense of stability. And as we do so, just allow and acknowledge that this is a time of struggle. And around that struggle, there's a body. And it's a body that only you can choose to move and control. And let's take our attention and let's find our bodies. Let's find their hands where they press together. Let's connect with our feet that push down into the earth below. Let's find our back, our tummies. Let's get a sense of this body of ours. And as we stretch and we push our feet down and we center our attention, I'm going to ask you to very gently now just allow your eyes to open. And as your eyes open, just look around the room that you're meditating in, and just quietly in your mind's eye, name 5 things that you can see in the room that you're sitting in. I can see a telly, a David Hockney print, a picture of the woods, a sledge for some reason, and I can see my dog asleep over there in the corner. What 5 things can you see? And then just stretch your right or left hand out and just touch 4 different objects that you can reach. And as you touch them, bring an awareness of the texture and the temperature of each thing that you touch. 1, touch something else, touch something else, and touch something else. And very gently, once again, just close your eyes and listen and name the 3 sounds that you can hear. Really listening. And we quietly name the sounds that we can hear. And with our eyes closed, we find that olfactory senses, our sense of smell. And gently inhale. And what can you smell? Just 2 things that you can smell. And then find your taste. And what can you taste as you sit here in this moment? And notice as we've engaged all 5 of your senses. All 5 of your senses have been brought into play. And just notice now that, is there a difference? Are you as caught up in the emotional storm that we were a few moments ago? Or by connecting with our bodies, with our senses, are we less swept away? Are we less pushed around? Have we centered our attention? Have we rediscovered this present moment? Are you finding it easier right now to feel settled, to feel safe? And just notice that maybe you even have a greater sense of control and certainty, that I can choose to center and to find stability at any time, during any shift, during any day, by stopping and finding 5 things I can see, 4 things I can touch, 3 things I can smell, 2 things that I can taste. That's wonderful. And we just use that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. And we make sure that we just center our attention. And we can do this in a minute, or we can do it as part of the meditative process. And relax, everybody, and just let go. And congratulate yourselves, guys, on having chosen to do something tonight that has a wonderful, powerful evidence base that we know can help us with our anxieties. We know can help us reduce strength, reduce our stress and find strength. And more recently, there's been a wonderful body of evidence that suggested that literally 10 minutes every day of stopping and meditating improves our attentional control, which allows us to make better, wiser, more compassionate decisions going forward. So we've dropped anchor. And I promised, didn't I, earlier, that we would do 2 meditations. And the drop anchor is a quick, very efficient meditation that you can just build into any part of any day. And even the meditation itself that we did is only about 4 or 5 minutes long. And it's that sense of, do I value myself enough to give myself 4 or 5 minutes to stop and center and to feel okay again, to steady the ship? The second meditation that we're going to do today is a longer meditation, and it's called the lake meditation, and it's one of the staple Jon Kabat-Zinn meditations. And Jon and his meditations are absolutely just wonderful, you know. And I love the sense that we can, most of us, I think, we can close our eyes and we can actually sort of picture a lake in our mind's eye. And it might actually be quite fun to do that right now. So before we start our meditation, let's just see if we can just close our eyes and just find the sense or a picture of a lake. Well done. Now, this is a meditation that can be done in a seated position, or a meditation that can be done lying down. And I think most of us are probably seated tonight, is my guess. So I'm going to suggest that you just make yourself comfortable. And with this meditation, we can let go of a bit of that rigor about looking dignified. What's important about this one is you look comfortable. So soften into the chair. Allow your body to just feel held by whatever it is that you're sitting in. And let's really enjoy and benefit from engaging with the lake meditation. So, and we begin. And we begin by just bringing a very gentle, mindful awareness to our breath. Let's go find our breath and connect with the actual physical sensations of just breathing without feeling an urge to change the way we breathe or manipulate it or regulate it or to breathe in a particular way. I'm just asking you to allow your breath to flow easily and naturally, finding your rhythm, your pace. There is no judgment with mindfulness. There just is what is. So know that you're breathing perfectly well right now. And there's nothing to do here except to just quietly let an image form in your mind's eye of a lake, of a body of water that is held in a receptive basin by the earth itself. Think about that for a second, those words. Imagine how it feels to be held in that receptive basin. And what we're doing as we meditate is we're finding a way that we too can feel held. We too can feel supported. And we notice that our lake in our mind's eye is held by the earth itself. Because water likes to pool in low places. It seeks its own level. It asks to be held and contained. And we can find with the lake meditation this sense that we too are being held, contained, and possibly just reassured. And as we let this image of the lake come into greater focus, even if we're not quite finding the full visual image, allow the sense of the lake and feel its presence. And the lake may be deep, it might be shallow, it might be still. Waves and wind may arrive as the wind stirs up the waves, causing the reflections in your lake to distort and to disappear. But that will change, and sunlight might sparkle in ripples and dance on the waves. And when the night comes, the moon will be held in the basin of the lake. And when the surface is still, the trees, the shadows will be reflected. And in winter, this lake of yours may freeze over. But like life, there's change. And what is difficult now will no longer be difficult. The seasons we're in now will change. And as you rest here with me tonight, breathing, and as you establish this sense of the lake, just allow yourself to merge with that lake. Have a sense of becoming one with your lake, so that your energies in this moment are held in the same way as the lake's waters are held in that receptive, accepting basin of the earth itself. And as you breathe, notice that your lake breathes with you, allowing your mind and your heart to be open and receptive. Experiencing maybe moments of complete stillness, when both reflection and water are clear. And as you lie or sit, just observing the play of the energies from your own mind and your own heart, just connecting, making contact with the changing energies in you. Notice that the same is happening with your lake, the wind, the waves, the light. There's always change. And we notice the effect this is beginning to have on our thoughts and our feelings. Might it be possible to identify not only with the surface of your lake, but with the entire body of water, so that you too become the stillness, the calm, and we allow that calm of the lake to just enter and to allow our bodies to soften. And in the same way as in your meditation and in your daily life, can you be in touch not only with the changing content and the intensity of your thoughts and your feelings, but also in that sense of the vast reservoir of awareness itself that you carry with you into every day. And maybe finding that sense of the lake and stopping sometimes and allowing yourselves to just be held, supported, finding certainty that we too can dwell in the stillness of this moment until that moment when we choose to smile and to leave our lake, but affirming our ability to hold in awareness and acceptance that we too can sustain this lake meditation by just finding silence, by finding that sense of being held. We too can drop anchor and become that lake, finding the stillness amidst the storms, finding the moments of peace amidst the waves. Just being our own living, breathing, held, sustained lake. Well done, everybody. And I'd just like to share with you, I think, the importance of, during these difficult times, enjoying your meditation, finding space in your day to stop and drop anchor, finding some time in your day to create enough calm, enough space to just feel held for those few moments. And as we do that, what we do, as the slide says, is we find peace in this frantic world. And our brain loves that, because our anxious minds are offered respite and are offered peace. But we have to choose to love ourselves and to value ourselves enough to insist upon time, insist that we take time to stop and rest, because we function so much better when we take opportunities to stop, drop anchor, and find peace. Thank you so much for engaging with the 2 exercises tonight. And as I've said, I've sent through the recording, and I've sent through to Paige, and I will copy you in, obviously, Vanessa, to the meditation as well. So I hope you found that that useful. And thank you for the lovely, lovely comments that are coming through. It is powerful stuff, isn't it? And I'm already looking forward to our meditation time next Tuesday. And we're going to do a really lovely, lovely session next Tuesday as well. So thank you all for engaging, and I'll hand you back to the lovely Vanessa.
Thank you so much, Mike. I hope that you found that as restful and as restorative as I did. I had to be very careful not to lose my way. Remember that I had to come back on screen. So finally, I would just like to say thank you so much again to Mike. It was a really powerful session, and I'm so pleased that we were able to deliver it together. And I'd also like to say thank you to all of our wonderful attendees this evening for taking the time out to put yourself first. I know that this year has been extremely challenging, and we at SBK Healthcare are unbelievably grateful for all of your hard work.